the ones of President Ruto are also not happy with me. Because President comes and says, I'm with Israel. How do you say that? An Israel that is bombing children in hospitals, pregnant women in hospitals. How do you say you're with Israel that bombs a refugee camp? What happened to an international law? A president can say a lot of things and say nothing at the end. President Ruto has got a platform to speak and not say anything. On Palestine, on Israel, on it, he can, that thing, it is called a diplomatic language. So you stand up and then speak like that about pregnant women who are dying, and then you say we must keep quiet because if we speak, we are attacking the president. No. No. A Pan-Africanist, when he sees children being murdered, a Pan-Africanist, when he sees occupiers killing the rightful owners of the land, can never sympathize with such people. Palestinians can't give me anything. They can't buy me. Even if they wanted, they are not in no position to give anyone anything. President Ruto is a new, fresh air. We said this was a perfect Pan-Africanist. I'm not denouncing him as not being a Pan-Africanist. All I'm saying is, stay true to what you are saying. It doesn't matter how many people are criticizing you or not. At the age of 9 and 10, police raided my house, male police, found us sleeping. They were looking for young boys and men. In my house, there were no men, there was only women. My grandmother had 9 children, 8 of them were women. When they searched a full house full of people, they couldn't find men. And those male police had to strip off my mother, take off her clothes in front of me for them to confirm if she's a real woman. If you lived that experience, you will know what the Palestinians are going through. Forceful removal is what we lived in South Africa. We know what it means. Where you wake up tomorrow, yesterday you had all house, land, everything. Tomorrow you have nothing. That's what we see now in Palestine. So many people, 9,000 people killed in weeks. No international warrant of arrest has been issued. The war between Ukraine and Russia has taken only 1.5. 1,500 people died in Ukraine, 9,000 in Palestine. Yet there is a warrant of arrest against President Putin. He has never bombed a hospital. He has never bombed a refugee camp. Let me tell you, even if the president of Hamas runs into a refugee camp, you have no reason to bomb a refugee camp. Once he runs into a refugee camp, that's the end of it. You're like, guys, you have to stop. We have to find another means to go and take him out there. Once he runs into a hospital, you have to stop. Because here is a pregnant woman who walks into a hospital. She's going to give birth. She doesn't know there is a Hamas president there. She's not part of the people who are raised that the Hamas president must go into a hospital. She gets killed for no reason. And then President Ruto says, I'm with Israel. And then you, the young ones in his party, don't stand up to say, but no, it's not done. It's not done. We did that in the ANC and we got expelled for that. And we regret, no, and we don't have any regret for doing that. The elders have got a potential of destroying the future of young people. That's why they say they've got Africa 2060 vision. But they won't be there in 2060, so I don't know what they are talking about. So you, if you are to be the youth, and the youth that must be taken serious, you must from time to time call your elders to order. That's how Africa is going to realize its potential. These elders have destroyed our continent through dictatorship, through family arrangements, and the youth kept quiet. South Africa was liberated by the youth. When we have time, we'll share that story. The ANC in 1940s was dead until Mandela came in as the youth, and Walter Sisulu and O.R. Tambo developed what they called a program of action that revived the ANC, and ANC adopted it in 1949. ANC was a sweetheart organization which used to fight through letters to London. This youth said we must take up arms and fight now. The ANC agreed in 1949. That's what made the ANC to be what it is. When they got arrested in the 60s, down the line in the 60s, Steve Biko emerged, was a young person, black consciousness. That led to 1976, that was the youth. What O.R. Tambo said to the youth of South Africa in the 80s, render South Africa ungovernable and unworkable. The youth did that. In 1985 and 1986, South Africa had a permanent protest every day to a point where martial law was declared, state of emergency, twice in 1 year. Because they declared the first one, the youth were saying, we don't care, do what you want to do. They had to declare another one because they thought the youth didn't hear. But they heard and they were defiant. And that's what brought 1994 because of the youth of the 80s. So the youth of Kenya can make Kenya politics to be what you want them to be. Don't worry about me, whether they attack me or they don't attack me. I don't care about those things. When they sit alone, they know I'm telling the truth. And as long as they know that, I'm very happy about it. Thank you. We need to de-dollarize. He said he's going to de-dollarize. We need to do away with the dollar. He said he's going to do away with the visas. We have to do away with the visas because Africa must be one. I must wake up. It's a 4-hour flight from South Africa to here. I must wake up in South Africa and come and eat lunch here. And then in the afternoon, get into a plane, go back. So why should it be an issue? All of these visas, borders must be done away. You know why they think we are xenophobic? We don't know each other. The more we do away with visas and borders and all of that, the more we're going to know each other and realize that we're actually one thing. There's nothing I'm seeing in this room which I've not seen in South Africa. There's nothing that suggests to me as I wake up, as I walk the streets of Nairobi, that suggests something different to me. It's my first time here. But it's as if I've been here many times. Why? Everything is familiar. These are my people. This is me. And to say you welcome me in Kenya is like welcoming me in Johannesburg. This is my home. Everywhere else in Africa, it's our home. You, the youth, must come and learn in South Africa. South Africans must come and learn here in our universities, cultural exchanges, and we must start to listen to the same music, watch the same movies, to do away with this Western imperialism that manifests itself through songs and television and movies and all of that. Nigerians have got it. They are on the right track. They need our support. How do we support them? We must join them in producing our own movies, our own music, and do away with Beyonce. I saw Honorable Member Senator saying she saw Beyonce in Dubai and did not even get starstruck. It's supposed to be like that. She's a human being. So we sing one of our own. But you do that once you start having a self-respect, to know that we all are. We can do what they are doing. And we can even do it much more better than them because we are a gifted nation. Remember, we're surviving under difficult conditions of colonialism and imperialism. Imagine, as we survive under such conditions, imagine if there were no such conditions. Would have been something else in this world. The world will be coming to nil here because of who we are. So many resources. 90% of the platinum of the world is found in Africa. You can look at what they do in Niger. They take over through a revolutionary coup, remove the French puppets, remove the French, and then increase the price of uranium by huge percentages, because France was stealing it and buying it with low amounts of money. Then the boys come and say, no ways, you're going to pay market price. As a result, in less than a year, because of political decisiveness, that's what politics can do. In less than a year, Nigeria is now one of the biggest, the fastest growing economy in Africa because of the Revolutionary Act. So all these clowns that have colonized us don't need anything. They need a political will to say, this is us, this is where we stand. You either like us or don't like us. But we are not going to trade with people who disrespect us. I said, why would you say you are a Pan-Africanist? Because Pan-Africanism is necessitated by the fact that we are an oppressed nation. We are a dejected nation. We are a rejected nation as Africans. That everyone else who's rejected should find sympathy in us because we know what being rejected means. Now Palestinians are being rejected, are being isolated, they are being killed on their own land. The same way the Mau Mau rebellion heroes were killed by occupiers. The same way the Bambata rebellion heroes were killed by the occupiers. The same way people were killed in South Africa during apartheid.
Hello everybody, how are you doing? This is Elijah Gishoro. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and in case you're new here, tap that subscribe button. But if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for joining me for the first or for another time. It is because of your support that I get to do this and many more other videos. Like you can see, we have a new look studio. We have very nice studio now that it's quality for you to watch me now, and you enjoy seeing me here. And this is because of your support, guys. I could not do this alone. Let's delve right into our video of the day. Now, Julius Malema, one of the most vocal, the most vicious, the most known, the most famous opposition leaders of all times in this country, not in this country, but in South Africa to be specific, and particularly all over the world, has actually blasted the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency William Sello Ruto. So this comes as a surprise because when he was coming into the country, he was coming to launch the Pan-Africa Institute somewhere in Kenya, among other leaders like Jimmy Wanjigi and the rest. But we never saw it coming. We never knew that he will attack the president, William Samoei Ruto. We really never knew. But because even if you look at the leaders who received him, he was received by Dindi Nyoro, a close ally of the Commander-in-Chief of Kenya. And it really amazes me to see that Malema actually went and attacked Ruto. In fact, this issue has brought a lot of it has made him to be at loggerheads with leaders, Kenya Kwanza leaders, key among them Samson Cherargei, who actually is calling for the revocation of Malema's visa. And this also is another story that has brought a lot of heat in Kenya, because remember, guys, you don't require a visa to go to South Africa. And also South Africans don't need a visa to come to Kenya. So the moment Cherargei is calling for the revocation of Malema's visa, it is kind of off. It is kind of something that is not making sense. And that's why he was trending on Twitter today, because how do you call for the revocation of a non-existent visa? And even if it exists, it is useless because you don't need a visa to visit Kenya. if you are South African, and vice versa. So that is the issue at hand, and so many other leaders, including the deputy president, have called out Julius Malema, asking him to shut up and keep quiet, because he really doesn't know what he's saying, and he's just a young leader. Malema's bone of contention with William Ruto is William Ruto was supporting Israel during according to the continuing Israel-Hamas war, Israel-Palestine war. William Ruto strongly expressed his support for Israel, saying that terrorism is not a solution. Okay, so I hope you're following. I hope we are together up to that point, and that is what has made Malema to attack him, because Malema is arguing, how comes you supporting people who are actually mutilating women, people who are bombing hospitals, people who are bombing refugee camps, people who are bombing pregnant women, people who are bombing everything and all the things that comes their way. Because Malema's school of thought is that even if the president of the Hamas walks into a refugee camp, you don't bomb the refugee camp, because remember, there are sick people, there are people who are dying, there are people who, all this kind of suffering. You bomb a hospital, for example, and there are people there who are dying, there are pregnant women, there are young kids who are born even before their due time, and so many other scenarios. And that is what Malema was actually talking about, saying there is need for you to acknowledge the fact that not everybody is Hamas, and to have that humanitarian need. However, guys, if you look at Malema's statement keenly, when Hamas were bombing Israelis, did they consider that? Did they consider that actually, there might be vulnerable people? Did they? No, they didn't. So why would Israel consider the vulnerable when it is their time to retaliate? They will retaliate in the best way they know how, in the best way that they understand, just to show that they were agitated, they felt pain and things like that. So that is a position at hand right now. And this is not the first time Malema is attacking Ruto. In fact, he is calling even the president out because of failure to fulfill his promises. Malema is arguing, you really overpromised and underdelivered. You gave people promises upon promises, promises over promises. You said this about them, you said you're gonna do this, but you've done nothing. You've not gone ahead and fulfilled those promises. And the economy is on the wrong trajectory. The dollar, the shilling is worsening. The fuel prices are continuing to rise. People are still living in poverty. More people are still being added to poverty, and less people are being made rich. All these factors combined make a very, very, very bitter Malema, who is literally calling out the president of the Republic of Kenya. And Malema is one fearless leader, and you can't even pin Malema down to attacking William Ruto only. Remember when Raila Odinga was holding demonstrations, Malema called him out, and he actually said William Ruto won democratically by the vote of the people, and the people's decision was that William Ruto becomes president. So Malema is being objective in his argument, in what he's saying. He's not doing this because it's William Ruto. He's doing this because he wants to call out evil. And in fact, there's some videos I watched about him, and he said it's not cast on stone that he will be the president of South Africa. Even if he doesn't end up being the president of South Africa, he's content with that. He's okay with that. But for him, he wants to fight for the rights of people. He really called out William Ruto also for hosting the king. He calls King Charles III a murderer, for the crimes that the British committed during independence. Before, in the run-up to Kenya's independence, the torture, the slavery, all that, And Malema was putting it very harshly, saying, how can you lay a red carpet for a murderer? You know. But Malema needs to heal from his bitterness. There's no way you'll continuously judge me for the atrocities of my great grandpa. You know, you'll not hate me for the atrocities of my grandparents. Those are different people and they had different thinking. I'm a different person and I have a different thinking. You know, that might not even be consistent with the values and whatever those my predecessors had. So I don't see the reason why you should be very bitter, you should be very aggrieved that you don't even want to see people, you don't want to see the king, you know. He even the burial of Queen Elizabeth, you know, he really blasted African leaders who went to mourn Queen Elizabeth because they're saying the queen was a murderer of the African people. He murdered people. She murdered people. She caused bloodshed. She caused slavery of the highest order. They caused people to be dilapidated. They caused people to be moved from their homes, and so many other crimes against humanity. And that is the basis of Malema truly hating the Western world or the Western powers and forces. But he really needs to move on. He really needs to see things beyond, because truth be told, the colonizers left Africa better than they found it. That is the truth. You know, these people brought roads, they brought electricity, they brought water, they brought... I don't support slave trade, I don't support slavery, I don't support human rights violation, but I support the development that came with colonization. And if you look at South Africa today and you compare it with Kenya that gained independence in 1964 and South Africa that gained independence in 1994, the difference is as day and night. South Africa is way ahead in terms of infrastructure development compared to Kenya. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. This has been your guy, Elijah Gishoro. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, make sure you comment on this video. Adios and see you in my next one.